Lana stepped through her portal and found a jarring sight. Wherever she looked, the kingdom was consumed by shadow. Though she knew of the Twilight Realm, she had never seen it firsthand. Lana's sorcery could not reveal who or what was causing the twilight to cover Hyrule so completely. She soon came upon a small village beset by monsters. Her mission to close the Gate of Souls would have to wait.
Hyrule Warriors Walkthrough Part 7. This is going to be the first of the 2 Twilight Princess levels. The Twilight Princess levels are pretty cool. They're as fun as the game is. I haven't actually played the game yet, but shows off Bridge of Eldin there, then you're in the Twilight Realm, or at least you're on the edge of the Twilight Realm. I've played enough of Twilight Princess to know what some of the stuff is, but I haven't beat it. I'm still planning to do that sometime, eventually. And because of that, I don't really know anything about what this level is talking about. So you're going to meet a character soon called Agatha, and I'm not sure if she was added for the Hyrule Warriors game like Lana was, or if she's actually in Twilight Princess, but she feels eccentric enough to be in a Zelda game, so I'm not really sure about that. Anyway, first thing you want to do is take out that army that kind of goes into that part of the Twilight Realm. That'll help prevent your main keep from getting taken over, and especially in this level, I think it's pretty darn important to try to take over as many keeps as you can, and even if you leave a few, it's really good to try to control this bottom left side of the map. And this is going to be your first objective, is to go save this mysterious villager. So what you'll want to do is come down and take this keep, and then you'll want to try to hold on to this keep. And the best way of doing that is to destroy every blob of enemy that you run into, either until it disappears on the minimap, or until there's only 2 or 3 people left. And at that point, your army can usually take care of 2 or 3 people. As always, always kill the special enemies, because they will cause the biggest problems. And I think later in this level I actually have a Dark Nut that tries to take over the entire keep on its own, and it probably would have gotten pretty far if I hadn't finished it off. So kill the special enemies. In this level there's a couple of special enemies. There's the Dark Nuts, then there's the Air Alphos, which are Liz Alphoses that fly basically. And they're pretty annoying. And then there's going to be Dark Nuts, and then Dark Air Alphoses, or whatever. My dog keeps licking herself. Hey, come on, stop. Dog keeps licking herself, so I don't know if you're hearing that in the background, but sorry if that sounded different. Anyway, when you first get to this villager here, then it'll show Agatha, and she's afraid of all the monsters, which Lana quickly kills. So they'll talk a little bit, and then Agatha will reveal the Goddess Butterfly, and the Goddess Butterfly will be able to lead you through the Twilight Realm. And the Twilight Realm at first is a little bit annoying because all of the keeps inside them are blocked off, but once Agatha can get to them, then it's really no big deal. So this keep here isn't really a keep. I'm a little bit confused as to why it's even here. I'm trying to remember. I don't think there's another time that you play on this map in the Legend mode, so I have no idea why that keep is down there in the bottom left. It must have just been a place for Agatha to be. And the reason I bring that up is just because you don't take it over, the enemy doesn't take it over. It's kind of weird. I don't know. As you can see, the crystals there are all grayed out. Now at this point, down in this bottom left, if you don't take care of these enemies, then they'll probably take over the bottom left part of the map again. So that's why I said earlier it's better to attack those blobs on the minimap either until they disappear or until you have just a few left. And I think I left a few that I ended up going back for, and it probably wasn't enough to cause me any problems. But the first few times that I played through this level, I did have that stupid part of the map taken over by one little blob because your army sometimes isn't too useful. Anyway, Agatha will get up to this part of the Twilight Realm, and then the gate should be open regardless, but it kind of looks cool when you walk through it. And here's one of the stupid Aralphos things, and they can be weird just because their weakness meter shows up the same time as really any other special enemy. Like, it would show up right after that if I hadn't attacked it. But a lot of times it seems it doesn't want to show up very quickly, or it takes forever, so then I end up getting hit waiting for it, and then I'm stunned, and then it goes away. So I just find that sometimes with these special enemies, it's better just to take them out regularly instead of dealing with their special attack meter. But in the end, it probably takes about the same amount of time, so it's up to you on how you want to go about that. So this first part, when you take over this keep, the Twilight Realm of this part of the map will be vanquished, and that's something you're going to want to remember because there's a bunch of other blacked out boxes on the map, and those are areas with the Twilight Realm. So once those keeps open up, I would say you should go straight there and try to take them over, but also try to take care of the army that you find in front of you. It's almost never a good idea at this stage in the game to take over a keep and then leave a big army of enemies just pouring in from one of the entrances. And you might think, well, I just caught the keep, my own people are spawning, I'll be fine, but not really. So here's the keep boss, and these are actually different keep bosses, and more what I would expect the keeps to have bosses of, are the Dark Aralphoses, and they're a lot weaker than the regular Aralphoses, but, or I guess Aralphoses, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And they don't take a whole lot of effort to bring down, though. So once you take this keep over, the Twilight Realm will eventually go away, and I think it's going to take, yeah, there we go. It's going to take a little bit of catching up on the story part of the level. And then Agatha will be like, oh yay, it's free, and everything's all bright and happy. And the next point that is also good about taking over the Twilight Realms is it weakens Midna. And you're going to run into Midna here in a few minutes, and then she's going to do a couple of things, but, you know, you should be able to guess. When you run into Midna, it's Twilight Princess place, you're going to run into Midna, well, you're going to have to fight her. So if you get rid of all the Twilight places, then it weakens her substantially, and you can actually try to take her out without taking down any of the Twilight Realms if you want to, and it is possible, it's just a lot harder, and she'll hit you a lot more than if you just took the time to take them out. And I think there's also a heart piece in this level for Lana, so it is good to take over as many keeps as you can and get some of those items that you wouldn't have gotten if you had just left the keeps alone. So I did eventually go down to the bottom left, take out the rest of those enemies. That blob is now gone, and then here we are in the center of the map, basically, or, okay, not the center of the map, but the main point where all the action happens in this level. And here's Midna, guarded by her Dark Nuts and her skeletons and her Stelphos. and then Agatha comes off as a little bit clueless in that cutscene. But once that finishes, you'll have to fight a couple of Darknuts and a lot of the skeletal army, and then you'll be able to take over this Westfield keep. And if you can keep hold of this area of the map, then the rest of the level is going to be so much easier. And it can be a little bit challenging because that dark part of the map up to the top left, that will keep spawning enemies, and it's not really worth, like on the other side of the bridge, it's not really worth taking that over at all. So this part of the map can be a little bit challenging to take over, especially on harder difficulties, so it's something that you want to try to do, but if you don't do it, then you should be fine anyway. At the very least, try to vanquish the Twilight Realm aspect. Now, Midna is going to start going over to Sia, who just decided to show up, and you can go and chase her down if you want to, but I don't really recommend it. There's no point to, and I don't think the victory conditions are any different if you do, and I'm not even sure you'd be able to defeat Midna anyway, just because she'd be so strong with all her Twilight power, and she would, you'd take her down and then Sia would leave anyway, so I don't think it's really worth trying to chase her. Just deal with the army, deal with a couple of the keeps, and especially when you take over that first keep there, or I guess that's like the third keep there, then take out this skeletal army that's just north of it and try to claim that outpost. If you can clear the army around the outpost to the top left here, then it'll be quite a bit easier to hold on to it. But that also means don't just take over the outpost and then run away, because then you'll just lose it, but take out the outpost and wipe out a couple of these skeletons. And using the special attack for the Deku stick thing weapon that Lana uses is pretty good. Has a giant Deku tree that spawns down and smashes everybody, but I don't really like it as much. I think right now my favorite special attack is still Sheik's harp, because it seems to do the most damage out of any of the other special attacks. So just go around here and take out those enemies, and I actually left that part of the army, that left side of the army there, and I was kinda not wanting to, but my army did a pretty good job of handling it. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to get rid of the people that were down here, because they would definitely take over that keep pretty quickly, especially with that huge group that just ran in. And it was pretty lucky that I got them all bunched up like that, because then I could take them out really quickly instead of having to take them out very slowly. So then I came back here, and there's a Darknut that's coming up that's going to be a little bit strange. The Darknuts on this level are weird because sometimes you dance around them and their weakness meter shows up for what looks like no reason. Like they haven't attacked for a good 2 or 3 seconds, and suddenly there's their weakness meter, so you can just hit it and kill them instantly. And other times, after a big attack they do, the meter doesn't show up at all. So I don't know if that's just some kind of glitchiness that's happening in this level or what, but the Darknuts are kind of strange. So as always, pick up the materials, you'll need those for upgrades, and just try not to leave too many items behind. A lot of times you can get a new weapon too, and that can be helpful, but most of the weapons you pick up from monster drops seem to be garbage. All the good ones come from chests and quest rewards. So I'm spending quite a bit of time here just taking over, or trying to destroy the armies that are making their way through, and in here, see, my keep is pretty low, and that's because there was a single Darknut in there, and luckily the Darknut was almost dead, so it just took one hit to take him out. But leaving the special enemies is probably the best way to lose parts of the map that you control, just because they do the most damage, and your Hyrulean captains are not as good fighters as the enemies Darknuts are. So eventually Midna will reach Sia, and then they'll kind of go at it, and Sia will run away in classic Nintendo style. Actually, no, I guess it's not Nintendo. It just seems a lot of shows, and a lot of the not-so-good shows have the bad guy running all the time. And it's kind of why I couldn't watch the Star Wars, the Clone Wars series, just because every time they'd get close to fighting the enemy, they'd fight and then they'd run away. And I know for what's his name, General Grievous, you kind of had to make him run away because he doesn't die until until after the Clone Wars takes place. But I don't know. The whole, oh yeah, let's fight. Okay, perfect example, Kai, or Kai Lang in Mass Effect 3. That guy. If that guy had died earlier, I wouldn't have hated him so much. But the whole running away thing drives me nuts. Anyway, that's a different game. I just needed something else to talk about. This biggest square in the center of the map here is something you will want to try to take over, so just run in here and look for the keep. I couldn't figure out where the keep was there for a second. You saw me wandering around there. But once you do get in here, there should be enough enemies concentrated that it doesn't take too long to take over this keep. Luckily, this isn't one of those levels that has sparsely spawning people inside of the bases, which makes it take forever to actually take it over. But the Dark Aerelphoses, or Aerelphoses, are extremely aggravating, and here I finally wait. Okay, let's just get rid of you, take down the weakness meter, shoot you with all these Deku Seeds, and then there we go. Now, Midna will eventually retreat back to her bridge, and I think she retreats there the closer that you get. So as you start taking over some of these keeps and destroying parts of her army, then she's gonna she's gonna walk back to the Bridge of Elden, and you'll be able to take her out there. But at this point, since she is your objective, defeating Midna to win the game is now your objective, it's something that you can either just go straight to Midna, try to fight her if you don't want to waste time with the other parts of the level, or you can take over the rest of the Twilight areas of the map, and then she'll have half health. And this is really useful, especially on hard difficulty. If you're having a hard time fighting her, you can just take your time, take over the map, and then all you have left is her, and there's only half of her to finish off. But if you are actually playing on a harder difficulty, and when you beat this game you unlock hero mode, if you're having a really hard time doing those levels, it's best just to level up, do some adventure mode, do some custom battles, or do some challenge modes, and just do some earlier matches even on easier difficulties, and try to get your character 10 levels higher. And those 10 levels will help big time when trying to get through something that you're having a hard time with. Now, your allied base can't fall or else you will lose, and that's pretty much true with every single level, so if you notice that the enemy army is moving into your base too quickly, you will want to get over there and try to prevent them from walking in. Usually, if you can get them when they're outside, they'll be a little bit closer together, so they're easier to take out. When they get inside your base, they're going to be all diluted from your army too, and it'll just be a lot harder to kill them all. And once again, take out all of these special enemies. I've said this 50,000 times, but that'll be the biggest help if you get rid of all of them. Take out this other outpost up here, and then you can work your way toward the top, this northern part of the map, which has the final 2 Twilight Realms. And right there was the giant slingshot that you can do, one of the special attacks. Oh, I guess not a special attack, but one of the combos for the Deku Stick is you can put it down into the ground, and then you can aim it, and then fire a giant Deku Nut or boulder or something, throw at the army, and it does pretty good damage. It's useful if you can get a lot of people in a line. But even then, I still don't like this weapon very much. I like her book a lot more. Now, the enemy outposts, for some reason, seem to spawn a whole lot of people when they want to, and for some reason, the outposts that you control don't seem to like spawning too many people of their own. I don't know why that is, or if it's the same on both sides and I just don't notice, but it is kind of annoying. So then finally Midna retreats to her bridge, and it would be at this point that if you had let the bottom left part of the map get taken over, that it would be kind of aggravating trying to deal with her and taking out the Twilight Realms and trying to keep Agatha safe, because I believe if Agatha dies here, or if she has to flee, then you lose the battle because she has to be the one to get the Goddess Butterfly, I think. I'm not entirely sure on the defeat conditions there, but it's best not to leave Agatha in the middle of fighting somebody. And if you on that left side of the map, that bottom left part, then you don't have to worry about that because you can see her flag down there. And if she's there safe, surrounded by her own army, then you don't gotta worry about anything. So when you can make your way here, get the East Field Keep weakened, and then take out the Aerelphoses that are here, take out the Dark One so you can take over the keep, and that'll be the second to last Twilight Realm of the map that is taken over. There's still going to be a few patches of army that are here, and these are actually going to be Sia's army. These aren't even Midna's army anymore. If you took out most of Midna's army on your way, then the only army she has left should be on the left side of the map there, just across from the bridge. And this is a point where she'll start sending out a lot of enemies, or a lot of her army into your keeps. But like I said before, if you take out a lot of her army before that, then she won't really have a lot of people to work with. Now the Sorcerer's Keep luckily was pretty weak. I'm not really sure why that was. Maybe Midna did some damage to it, but it didn't take too long to take that out, and then the chest spawned, and I didn't forget it this time, hurrah! And this one actually has a heart piece. And then the only thing left now is to take out that last Twilight Princess area, and I think just 2 more outposts, and then I'll have control of all of the map, basically. And then you can go straight for Midna, and like I said before, she has half health, so she's quite a bit easier. And now I'm actually running out of things to talk about, so I'm not sure. I want to keep narrating because Midna might need a little bit of explanation, but she's not too hard of a boss. In fact, I think she's probably a little bit too easy, and I don't know, Midna never came off as all powerful to me, but maybe she is. I should really just play Twilight Princess. Maybe that explained a lot of this a lot better than this game would. Okay, now there was something I was gonna talk about. What was it? I can't remember. I don't know. Oh, the Deku Babas. Oh, I haven't even talked about them. Okay, so the Deku Babas make another reappearance in this level, and to take them out, of course, as you've seen already, just shoot them with arrows, and if you leave them alive, they do usually cause problems to your army, and they just aren't very good to leave alive, and even if you take over this keep, the Deku Baba will remain. And they're kind of like the Beamos, except a lot less annoying. The Beamos are just horrible, and there's other levels in this game where there's like 3 Beamos per keep, and you have to take them out because those Beamos will just destroy your army if you don't. And then you have to hope that your character is actually strong enough to kill the Beamos, because sometimes the special attack just isn't enough, like with Sheik. But most of the people you play as can handle that. So then I just have one final outpost to take over. For some reason this one was deciding not to spawn any enemies today, and then I just ran into the last part of the map that I don't control, and this is where the final battle will take place. Now there's a red blob of enemies still on the northeast on the top right side of the map here, and that did kind of worry me. I kind of thought, should I go back and finish that off, but I hoped that because it was between 2 keeps, it wouldn't be able to get very far, and I was close enough to the end of the level anyway, it probably wouldn't have mattered. I think on the harder difficulties, I would have gone back and tried to take that thing out, just because if that red blob took out that keep to the south and then went for my home keep, then that would be kind of a problem. So when you get into the bridge, you will probably be greeted by a ton of enemies and a Dark Nut or 2. And this Dark Nut was pretty lucky taking him out because he dashed at me and then his weakness bar came up normally for some weird reason. So then I went and got the item and I took out another wave of the army here. And there was still half of that patch behind me, but it didn't really matter because Midna's just straight up here. And as you can see, her health bar is already half empty. And now that I think about it, I'm not 100% sure that weakening the Twilight Realm is what weakened her. It might have even been her battle with Sia and weakening the Twilight Realm, but either way, she's a lot stronger, she's a lot weaker if you can just take over most of the map. And not even just her health, but just her attacks, because when you see her glowing, or any enemy glowing for that matter, if they're a special enemy, they are a lot deadlier than if they're not glowing. And that seems only really to be true for the bosses and some other specific enemies, not really anybody else. So morale boosts do help, but not always. So anyway, once you do get here, you can try to wait on her attacks and try to get her to do her weakness meter. and you can take that down and do a lot of damage, or you can just hit her 2 or 3 times, roll to the side, hit her 2 or 3 times, roll to the side. Either one is up to you. If you want to see what attack she has, then do it the long way, or if you just want to get it over with, then do it this way. And I think she gets her, no, after that attack she would have had her weakness meter up, but I hit her too quick. So once you defeat her, that will be it for this level.